I broke my back.
What do you mean by that?
My back is broken.
What do you mean, calm it down? It's a fight. Referees telling two fighters who want to fight to calm it down. He should calm down.
So he's like a clown in his show, man. He's not your guy.
Because Tyson Fury's back, and all you motherfuckers are under attack. Look, Eddie Hearn can say all what he likes. Who gives a shit what Eddie Hearn says? It's garbage.
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
Can you let me retire and be happy? Please, just please.
Bombs away from the Bronx Bomber!
Wanda! Let's go, baby! Let's go! I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You're not shit.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
I got dropped, man.
No, you won the fight.
OMG. I am so excited.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up, MCR family? Another daily edition of the show live on YouTube. Obviously, podcast from iTunes, Spotify, Radio, etc. Hit the like button, share the show wherever you're listening, and subscribe. Obviously, I'm Matt, the Hipster Hunter, and today we'll be discussing all of the boxing content this weekend, all of the fights this weekend. Earl Spence versus Mike Garcia on Fox pay-per-view, the first Fox pay-per-view, and I gotta say, I'm going to receive some criticism here, guys, but then again, people online are saying that I'm selling my soul for the LDBC, so it's going to be weird here. It's going to be weird. The fan bases are going to be really confused here how to criticize my take on this fight. But plus, with that, we have Tevin Farmer versus Jonah Carroll on DAZN. Really fun Friday night card, in my opinion. Plus, Kode Tanaka, one of the pound-for-pound talents right now out of Japan, fighting Ryuichi Taguchi over in Japan. Was a fantastic fight. Plus, obviously, there's an ESPN card today. Michael Conlan, St. Patty's Day. Happy St. Patty's Day, I think, since people celebrate St. Patty's Day. But anyways, that's happening today. We're not going to discuss that because we're not watching it. But anyways, Rob, how you doing today? Robbie Hearn, the Han Solo to my Luke Skywalker. We're bringing Chewbacca later. He's the third guy in the group, let's be honest. But Han, Rob, Mr. Eddie Hearn, second cousin, twice removed. How you doing today?
All good. Everybody in the chat, hope you're having a good Sunday. Yeah. Spence Garcia, not bad. I know it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, but it was free, Obviously, for that reason, I wasn't so principled about not getting it. But fair play to Matt.
Just rub it in some more.
Being a degenerate, he had to get it, and did a show and done good numbers. So shout out to you. But I know once that card started and you saw the quality that was presented in front of you, you were kicking yourself under that table.
Well, Rob, I mean, before the show started last night, because we only did the main event, right? I think it was by maybe 2 fights in to that pay-per-view card. I was like, you know what? I made a mistake, guys. I made a mistake.
Damn it.
God damn it. I should have been smart. I should have stuck to my principles. But speaking of somebody that stuck to their principles, mainly only due to the fact that they fell asleep slash old man status over here, Mr. Fugatti, a.k.a. Chewbacca. Fu, how are you doing on this fine Sunday afternoon over there in Texas?
Doing excellent. Glad to see you guys. Glad I made the show. Everyone in the chat, hope you're having a fantastic Sunday. We've got, really fun card to talk about and a really bad pay-per-view to talk about. So let's get it.
Oh my God. Dude, I mean, we definitely have to get into it, obviously. Let's get into this Earl Spence, Mikey Garcia card. Since that was obviously the biggest card of the weekend. Regardless of, I think, most of my opinion, your opinions, and most of our listeners' opinions about this card, it is the biggest fight card of the weekend. It clearly seems like it was. Pay-per-view buy rate obviously has not been released yet, which is obvious. It really isn't supposed to be released usually till like Wednesday or so. I would expect a Dave Meltzer, Keith Idek, a Lance Pugmire, one of those guys to get the scoop on the pay-per-view buy rate. Maybe a Mike Coppinger. But I would expect Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe Thursday, we hear our sort of first estimated buy rate of this card. But sort of tabling that discussion, let's talk about the fight itself before we get into whether this should have been pay-per-view, the macro stuff about this card, the different sort of angles we can take. The fight itself, Errol Spence was absolutely dominant. Not only did we were right about him being the stronger guy, the guy that can get on the inside, beat up Mikey, but we were probably fairly wrong about how good of a boxer Errol Spence was, because he completely outboxed Mikey Garcia as well. It wasn't just the fact that he threw 1,000 punches, was highly aggressive at the fight. It was the fact that he was able to outbox Mikey. He took Mikey's best weapons, his jab, his use of range, his fundamentals, and either did it better or took that away from Mikey. It was a perfect performance from Errol Spence. I have no criticisms for Errol Spence in this fight because he performed absolutely perfect. Like, there was nothing wrong with his performance at all. I don't really have a flaw in his technique I can really take away from it. Other than maybe there's at times he's a little bit too wide on the inside. But really, I mean, the guy is flawless in a lot of ways. And against a Mike Garcia, who is a guy that most people who were picking this fight to either be close, competitive, or picking Mikey were picking because they thought Mikey was the better boxer. That turned out to be entirely untrue, let alone the fact that he was 2 weight classes smaller, didn't have the power to keep handle Spence and keep up with him. Again, absolutely great performance from Errol Spence. I thought this was a tremendously bad performance from Mike Garcia. All the stock that he had going into this as this pound-for-pound talent, I think gets a little bit diminished here. Not it's gone. It's not like the hype train's over for Mikey, but we now go into that Loma fight. We now go into a Regis Prograis fight, or whoever he is fighting next. That's a big fight at 135 or 140, even 147 if he decides to stay here. And we question whether he wins that. I don't think that would have happened if he did not have this Errol Spence fight. This is Triple G Kell Brook all over again. This is Loma Riga all over again in so many ways. But, Rob, I'll go to you since you saw it live, unlike Fu, because Fu was sleeping. Hashtag old man. What were your sort of takeaways from this fight from a technical standpoint, the inside the ring action?
Yeah, look, I'll hold my hands up. I was always kind of in the camp that Spence was kind of basic. Mm-hmm. Kind of, plod forward and just land thudding shots, and like rip the body and things like that. But he showed a lot more to me in this one. I mean, you mentioned Mikey. I didn't think he looked great in the ring. I didn't think he looked like great in shape.
Oh yeah, no, he didn't.
I don't know. I mean, he's never been like a ripped guy. He's never kind of, got all the muscles on display and everything. He's kind of always been sort of a stocky sort of set, his physique. But to me, he just looked like he wasn't comfortable carrying the weight, and he looked a bit slow. But that being said, I think the only criticism, if you're going to table it, but if you don't knock someone out, if you completely dominate them, that's just as good. But a lot of people coming into this saying, would Spence lose anything kind of from this fight if he doesn't get a guy moving up 2 weight divisions out of there? We've seen him. But I think we've got to credit Mikey's toughness, his durability, and just, I guess, sheer will and determination. A lot of people wouldn't have come out from, I don't know, like round 7 or 8. Just thought, I've not won a round. Although he did punch the air after every round like he did. But, yeah, I don't know.
I think most people were expecting his corner to throw in the towel at some point. I'll be honest.
Robert Garcia said to him, look, how are you feeling? You all right? Because this, and he was like, give me one more. And he's like, I'm okay. But, fighters say that anyway, don't they? Mm-hmm. You see a fighter that's been knocked down 3 times in a round get up and go when the ref stops it. He's like, no. But so that's kind of that. sort of determine that warrior spirit kind of thing. But no, I mean,
do you think he should have stopped it? Do you think Robert Garcia should have stepped in as, you know, the older brothers and the trainer and be like, hey, no, this isn't, we're going to stop this, Mikey. You're taking punishment here. You're not winning around. Like, we're good here, man. Survive another day. Let's go back down to 140, 135, collect belts there, collect a legacy there. You're good, man. You're good, champ. You know, would that have been the smart route for Robert Garcia to do as his trainer?
Look,
in your opinion.
Yeah, no. In my opinion, yeah, he hadn't won a round because they 9 was it 9 or 10, 11, 12. That wasn't good to watch. Really,
no, that was rough.
He real you know, I felt a stoppage was coming at some points, and I don't know, but that he got real pieced up in those, especially in those rounds, and sometimes. I always think like you know, like with it's like a father-son, like trainer fighter relationship in the WBC in the past have wanted to kind of step in and change that ruling, and it's sort of come back where fathers are. But when it's family members, I don't know, because in some ways you think they would even more so want to look after the fighter because it's like their blood. But there's also that, you know, you stop this fight, I'll never talk to you. Do you know what I mean? It's a tricky situation, but I think as a trainer, whether it's family or not, you have
a duty. You have like an obligation to your fighter.
You will live and stand by your decision to do it. Whether that fighter never wants to see you again, speak to you again, or there's a falling out, it's like, well, you could be angry, but I done what I thought was right for you, and maybe it was. I mean, seeing interviews with Mikey after, he seemed okay. I know sometimes damage can take its toll later down the line. I'm not saying, you know, Mikey's going to be in a real bad way all of a sudden. He's, like I say, he seemed to be fine after the fighting interviews and post press conferences and stuff. But yeah, Mikey to me just looked slow, and he just could not. I mean, Errol was landing that like straight left at will. And they're like we know with Errol, they're hard shots. In some way, you think back to the Spence Brook fight, and Brook done well in that fight. He took some rounds, so it's almost like maybe his stock goes up a little bit from that fight. But I don't know. I was expecting a stoppage because all this, like a lot of boxing media suddenly turned and were like, I really think Mikey's going to do it. Mikey's going to do it. Mikey's this. Mikey's that. And I'm like, you're like, you've done this shit for years. How many examples are there of, I mean, Duran went up to and beat Leonard, right? But you know, Duran is considered like one of our sport's finest legends of the sport.
And plus, like, I mean, you don't even have to like bring up examples. It's a clear like technical analysis, right? Like Duran had power. Like Duran had one punch knockout power. Mikey doesn't have that. Like, he's never really shown that. Like, he's shown, like, the Dejan Slatishin fight, and they show that knockout in every highlight reel of Mike Garcia, right? But that's all he has. He doesn't have a knockout repertoire. He doesn't have that in him.
No, I mean, he put one on Lipinets, and but he was, you know, that was a tough fight as well. But
yeah, that was. Lipinets did some good work in that fight, and people forget about that.
And so yeah, that would be my, like I say, my only sort of minor criticism, that you would have expected Spence 2 divisions up. By the time they got in the ring, he was almost 2 divisions up as well. Like, he was basically a middleweight against the guy that barely went over the welterweight. I think he came in at like 153 or something like that. So he was only just put a few more pounds on over the limit. So he was again stepping up 2 weight divisions, meeting the guy on the scales, you know, similar. And then by the time they rehydrated, Spence was like 2 divisions above him.
Yeah.
And it's like, so come on, these boxers, you know, they do a great job. They find all these stories for us, but you think they might have had, I don't know, maybe their heart was ruling their head or something. But Spence,
money.
Money. I didn't give Mikey a single round. Yeah, I thought Spence absolutely dominated, and like I say, credit to him. I didn't really notice that in Spence before, like the sort of the boxing skill that he showed.
The head movement alone. I mean, I think, again, we've seen glimpses of it in fights, but we've never seen a prolonged fight where he had to do that.
No.
And this was sort of one of those he did, and that was nice to see.
Yeah, it was because like I thought the display against Lamont Peterson was showing kind of that, but obviously the damage he was doing with his shots were really taking their toll on Lamont Peterson, and he got him out of there. Obviously, then we got Ocampo, which was no kind of opposition of for us to gauge anything, but he really showed something this time. But this will forever stick in my head with like an asterisk attached that he was a guy two divisions up.
Just like Triple G Brook, just like Loma Rigondeaux, just like Canelo Khan, just like Mayweather Marquez, a little bit more of a throwback one for boxing fans in recent memory in the last 10 years.
Fighters to stop daring to be great. Just be great in your division. Clean up and then move up, or what? You know what I mean? Not I'm going up 2 divisions and and against the guy of the division. I think we can say now, unless we get a Crawford fight, which is obviously a long way off if ever happens, but Errol is obviously definitely PBC side. I think the best that they've got.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's him and Crawford. I think, to be honest, if you're really serious and objective,
but do we really know? Really,
we don't know. No, we don't know. But
two fights at at welterweight. So
of course we don't know yet. But I would say objectively, right now, today, if you are trying to be unbiased, and again, I am biased. I'm a Crawford stan. Spence is the best welterweight on the planet right now today. He has the best resume right now today that's active. I think he probably, again, if he goes his next fight, name all the welterweights, I think he beats them all, including Crawford right now. I'll be honest. I've
definitely including Manny Pacquiao.
But we're going to get to that later. Don't worry, Rob. We're going to get to that in a sec. Let's go to Fu, because Fu's been quiet. Fu, I know you did stick by your principles. You have not ordered this pay-per-view. You've only seen like highlights. You've seen like the extended clips of it and everything like that. So your brief thoughts on it, because again, you have not seen the whole fight, but I want your thoughts on what you've seen. And then I want to get into the whole, this is pay-per-view. And because, again, you stuck by your principles, mainly due to the fact that you were sleeping, and have not bought this pay-per-view. So let's talk about, why was this pay-per-view? How big of a deal is it that it was pay-per-view? And yeah, let's tackle from all angles. But first, your thoughts on the fight itself in the ring.
Well, I mean, I said from day one, this was not a good fight. Like, yes. And we all knew that. But for some reason, and probably just because like Coppinger works for PBC, or Showtime or Fox or whatever, he has to come out and start maybe giving a narrative that this could be a closer fight than everyone thinks. Journalists started to really buy into, well, Mikey's got such a high boxing IQ. It's not going to be easy. But the whole time I said, this was never going to be a good fight. I mean, Mikey is too small to be there. He's not a welterweight. He's just not. Like, he's probably maxing himself out at 140. And even at 140, I don't think at 140 he could beat Josh Taylor. I don't think at 140 he would beat Prograis. So I was not giving him a chance in hell against Errol Spence, who's a big welterweight anyways. From what I can see, and highlights and obvious, I'm catching more of the fight footage that they're not pulling down on YouTube, but I was not going to pay-per-view this. I was asleep when you texted me. Is there a chance I would have hopped up and bought it to do the live fight chat with you guys? Probably, but
fake ass.
That would have just been for the channel. That would have just been for us. I mean, you got great views on the channel. Obviously, thanks everybody for watching, but this was never going to be anything good for Spence or anything bad for Mikey. It doesn't limit Mikey's chance to go back to 135 and have a big fight with Loma. It doesn't limit his chance to go to 140 and have some big fights. It literally was the stupidest idea because Crawford was free. Spence was free. Like, they could have made a better fight. All they had to do was negotiate. Like, whatever. You want to do one on Fox, you want to do one on, ESPN, split it. Send someone to fight Loma on one side, send someone to fight Spence on the other side. Let's have it,
Both can be pay-per-view, and I think nobody really will shit about it or bitch about it. No one's going to bitch about a Spence squat for pay-per-view or a Loma Mikey pay-per-view.
Yep.
I'll be honest.
And honestly, let's be real. This did in some way hurt Mikey's stock because a pound-for-pound boxer, even moving up 2 weight classes, should still win rounds. Should still be somewhat competitive. He should have been able to box better than he did. To lose on every scorecard.
Rigo did.
Rigo, yeah, but that shows how good Loma is. Like, this might show how good Spence is.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. Or does it show how bad Mikey is and how we've said for a long time? He's straightforward, straight backwards. He's got a nice one too, but he's too basic.
Or Fu, is it far more nuanced than that? And it's not just one thing. It's a multi-factored situation issue. I think it's a little bit of, again, Mikey has limitations to his skill set. That is obviously true. I think I have pointed that out for a very long time. I think you pointed that out for a very long time. Also, of course, it's due to the 2-weight jump. It's due to that. It's due to Spence being a lot better than I think some people are giving him credit for in terms of his technical side to his game. And again, I just think a track record shows it's very hard to win rounds, even if you're the best guy in your division, moving up 2 divisions and finding the best guy in that division. It is very, very difficult. Kell Brook won 1 round against Triple G, and people freaked out. Amir Khan won maybe 2, and people act like he won the fight until he got knocked out and almost retired. Again, Marquez didn't really win that many rounds, if any. Like, that was a 119, 118 decision for Mayweather when they fought back in 2008, 2009. I don't know. I just think, again, I don't think it's as much of a one issue thing or one factor thing. There's like anything, it's far more nuanced than as you lay it out.
But I think we can all be real here. Like, Loma didn't get a ton of credit for beating Rigo.
No,
Spence shouldn't get a ton of credit for beating
Absolutely
Mikey.
True. Absolutely true.
And that's why when people talk, pound for pound king after beating Mikey Garcia, I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, you definitely have to keep it consistent when it comes to talking about these sorts of fights, pre the fight and after the fight. You have to be consistent. And there are many people out there right now. I'm not going to point the finger and name names, but you all know who you are. You're not keeping it consistent. You're having clear double standards here with how you view these fights. And then when you get called to the mat on your contradictions, you then sort of use the, well, they're doing it excuse, and I hate that. I hate that so much. When I drag some PBC fans to the mat talking about this pay-per-view, and they say, well, there was Loma Rigo, nobody gave that one shit. It's like, no. You can't point the finger and say, well, they did it too, and that makes what you did scot-free, and it's not an issue. No, it's all an issue. And again, it's all, I forget who, I think it's more Rob saying allude to most people sort of saying like they weren't going to buy it, but it seems like a lot of people ended up watching it on Saturday night. The Fox machine seemed to have worked in a way. Fu, you were talking about this off air with me and you in the group chat about, what did it do? What is the exposure for this event? You think it did quite well on pay-per-view. You think it did possibly near 450 in terms of pay-per-view buy rates. I think it did probably more closer to 250,000. But let's talk about that machine. Let's talk about the pay-per-view itself, and whether or not this was a, quote, star-making performance / event for Earl Spence. Rob, since it wasn't pay-per-view for you, I'm going to have your sort of thoughts on it last. No offense. Fu, don't roll your eyes. That's highly disrespectful, Rob.
I was going to say Richard Schaefer said it was tracking to do over 1 million buys.
Hold on. I got the perfect soundbite for that. Let me turn up the volume here.
That's stupid. Use your common sense.
Fu, why is it that you think this card did a lot? That did 450,000.
Well, it was, look at the views that you did on your live fight show, right?
Mhm.
Like, look at how people were talking about this on Twitter, right? Like, it literally was lighting everything up. Now, Fury and Wilder did as well. So are we going to have another case of like multi-million illegal streams? Potentially, right?
And I will also add to this for our channel and views and how to like use a barometer. Our most watched video ever is our live fight chat for Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic, a UFC pay-per-view. It was last August. That did 15,000 views on this channel. It only did around 400,000 pay-per-view buys. So I'm not saying that it's not a metric for success to look at our channel and what fights did in terms of numbers. It is, like, definitely in terms of like internet traffic, it 100% is.
Yeah.
But
hang on. I'm going to check what your chat did, Matt, and I'll be back with you the exact number of pay-per-view buys.
Thank you, Rob. I would love that equation. You fucking cunt. But I mean, let's be honest. I think whatever it did, it's not breaking anyone's minds. I think like it's not shocking anyone. This is not breaking 1 million buys. I don't think this hits over 500,000. There's no way it does those insane numbers that we're talking about. And I'll be honest, Fu, even though the internet traffic was great for it, we are so much in the bubble. Like, it's so hard for me to go on Twitter and to have an accurate perception of how big a fight card is. Because every time there's a fight card, my entire feed is just fights. Like, it's just people talking about the fights.
Well, and I have like another inside the bubble type thing because I'm in Dallas. So everyone's stoked that it's at the arena. So everyone I'm talking to knows about the fight because they were hyping it here pretty hard too, right?
And it sold quite well. It did
47,000 people went to this fight or something. That's insane. Look, good for them. But, you know, like we talked about, this was just not going to be a competitive fight. And it's sad that 47,000 people went and watched an uncompetitive fight. I wish they could have been somewhere different.
Wait, hold on. Rob I think he has an equation out, guys. Let's go to Rob quickly, because
oh god.
Well, how did you get this number, and what is the numbers you have now for your suspected? I will say this, Rob: if you somehow nail like the number right, like my mind will be blown. Like you would be the prophet of MCR. But anyways, what is your equation here?
Well, Mixed Combat Radio. Matt the Hipster Hunter at the helm on his own, solo dolo. Done the Mikey Garcia, Spence, Mikey Garcia live fight chat. Currently at 6.8 thousand views, so 6,800 something. So just a quick calculation compared to the 15,000 he done for the UFC card, which done 400,000 pay-per-view buys. Sources say.
Yeah, sources say.
Fuck, people are going to be quoting this.
No, they aren't.
Yeah, they clip this. I'm going to send it to Michael Benson. The Fox pay-per-view Spence Garcia card done 227,465 pay-per-view buys. It would have been 64 buys, but Matt stumped it up 5 minutes before it started. So, but obviously using our metrics is the way forward to figure that shit out.
Yep, that is obviously the way forward, guys.
But
back to the point. I
was going to say,
yes.
To back you up, this has been, it felt a big fight just due to like all the major media guys were all there. You know, sometimes you get a few at like the DAZN card. There's some doing other stuff, and some that don't even travel. They doing their own thing. But they were all there, all sat next to each other. They were goofing around all night, sending photos. And Mike Coppinger ordered a fucking big fucking soda. So I don't know actually what flavor it was.
Was it lemonade?
Yeah. And they were all goofing around, but they were tweeting the hell out of the card all night, right? So and other people, you know, general Twitter users were just seemed to be all over it. You know, you couldn't refresh your. Obviously, like you say, we're in the bubble, so I'm following certain people. Certain people are retweeting certain people's stuff, but the feed was constant. You know, usually I get like other sports breaking up in my feed. But was just Spence Garcia all night. Whether it was some of the undercard fights with that hashtag as well. But it felt big. I mean, obviously, I haven't seen any of the TV adverts, and the only one I've seen is that crazy country singer screaming all over the social media post, whatever that was. But it felt big, you know. It seemed to be like, oh, you know, something's happening. You know, you could tell it was getting a buzz about it. So I'll be interested. And like I say, don't know where Schaefer's getting this, tracking it over 1 million buys. I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's insane. But I'll be interested because if, like you say, my little theory is right, that'll be kind of cool.
And that's a pretty realistic number too. Like 227, like that would be a decent number. I would say, like if they hit 250, they should be happy. I'll be honest.
But is that number when you think of like Wilder Fury? Now I know it's heavyweights. On Showtime, done 325 or whatever it turns out, is 225 or whatever 227 on Fox, which is obviously in night. Was it like did someone quote like 98% of households in America or something?
Every household has Fox. Just think about that.
Yeah, so I know like obviously not every household's going to buy it, but it had all this extra push on a channel that everybody's watching, so it brought it to a much wider audience's attention.
The marketing plan budget was really impressive. Like that was the truly, like I would say, great part of this entire fight was the fact that we got to see what the Fox marketing budget was like if they actually pushed the pay-per-view card. Because that never happened in the UFC. We never had a Fox pay-per-view for a UFC card. That never existed. So this was a first in a lot of ways for that.
About making him a star, I just want to say, if this would have just been on regular Fox.
So you still in my tweets, really?
Oh, no. Did you tweet this? I'm just saying, wouldn't that have had more potential to possibly make someone a star?
If this was a Fox main event on Channel 11 or 7 or wherever it is in your local area, this 100% would have been a star-making performance. I think this would have broke the NBC record for PBC and Spence, at least for the peak. I think it definitely would have broke that.
Because of Mikey as well, right?
Yeah, because of the combination. Like that, this fight did have a fun matchup in a way. Like it had two names that people liked. Mikey does draw from the Hispanic, the Mexican-American market in the U.S., and that's a huge boxing market. Obviously, I think all of Texas was really around this fight, and Texas is a huge state. Southern California was really around this fight as well, and that's a huge part of this country in terms of population size. So they had key demos, they had key markets, all in their favor. This would have been massive on Fox. And again, it would have broke that NBC record for Spence Leonard Bundu with 6.37 million on NBC right after the Olympics, right? This would have broke that. I firmly believe that. But it's not that. It's on a pay-per-view. It's behind a $75 price tag.
Because of the purses.
Because of the purses. And another point, sort of why my number as like what number they need to hit to be happy is lower than a Wilder Fury fight. Because obviously these two guys are paid less than those two, both in guaranteed disclosed purse, and let's be honest, back-end money. It's just obvious. Neither Mikey or Earl do the numbers that Deontay Wilder does, and Tyson Fury is not in-house, so I think he was able to really negotiate a great deal. But yeah, that's sort of my points on the pay-per-view. Again, I love the pay-per-view telecast. I will say this before. Oh, Phil, you want to talk? What?
No, that wasn't in reference to that.
Oh, okay. Well, a harsh message there in the chat from you. I'm like, what did I do? What were the purses? It was $3 million a piece disclosed for both guys. I will say this about the pay-per-view telecast itself. A lot of people were hating on the production of it. I didn't mind the production too bad. I will say this. There are certain pieces within the telecast I hated. There was a infomercial for the entire Dallas Cowboys Stadium and for the Jerry Jones family in the middle of the telecast. It had one of the Fox presenters go around the stadium like the day or two before. It was pre-taped, right? It was like a 15-minute infomercial for the stadium, not for the fight, for the stadium. Okay. Secondly, we had Radio Raheem. Okay, Rich. Hey, no hate to Radio Raheem. You're cool, I guess. But I don't ever want to fucking see you on a pay-per-view that I pay $75 for. I don't ever want to see a 10-minute spot about you running the treadmill and like pretending to cut weight for a fight to show what it's like as a fight. Like I don't care about that. I don't want to see that. Don't ever do that again. Also,
I'm so glad I didn't pay for this.
Oh, you have, dude. When that Raider Raheem spot hit on the pay-per-view, I legit got up and left the room.
There are some like YouTube personalities within the boxing world that do need to hit the treadmill, but that's just a little side note, I guess.
That Raider Raheem is not one of them. Anyways, never want to see that on a pay-per-view again, ever. Please, like that. It's $75. I want to see boxing. I want to see high-level, competitive, elite boxing, not Raider Raheem going on a treadmill going to Denny's. I could give two shits about that. Okay. Third point I will make about the production. They had to put in a swing bout, like a 4 or 6 rounder. Remember this, Rob?
The Mack truck.
Oh
Shout
my
out to the Mack
God.
truck.
Look, this is what happens, PBC matchmakers out there listening. This is what happens when you matchmake an entire card of complete squash matches. Because every fight was ending early, right? And it's a pay-per-view telecast. Here's another thing. Fox, you don't need to eat up time. It's a pay-per-view telecast. Run that motherfucker through. We don't need filler. We fundamentally do not need filler. But instead, we got a 6-rounder from Mack Truck or some dude because every fight was ending in the first or second round. That was, oh, God. Again, I think the production quality, like the graphics, the overall quality of the presentation, pure technical side of it, right? If I'm as like a cinematographer, right? That was fine. Like the videography of it was fine. It was the producers that have no fucking clue as to how to run a pay-per-view card. That's what the production being garbage, I think, is mostly about. And also, I think everyone is still not sold on this commentary team. Same with, like, I said this on Twitter. Is it shocking, Fu, and I want your opinion on this. I miss the HBO commentary team. I can't believe I'm saying that in 2019. But I truly miss Jim Lampley and Roy Jones saying nonsense while Max is trying to deliver some knowledge. I truly miss that commentary team. Hell, I miss Harold Letterman, guys. I know.
Of course you do.
I mean, come on.
Legend. No,
and and that's, I'm not talking purely about PBC's commentary team. I think the Zone has some issues. I think Chris Mannix is awesome, but the rest of their team I have real problems with. And just the flow of it, the feel of it, the tone of it. All around, it just seems like we don't have that iconic commentary team like we used to. You know, Showtime isn't really doing cards anymore, right? Like, it's most of our cards are featuring new commentary booths, and none of them are good. That's my brief opinion about that. But, Fu, what do you think? HBO commentary team, do we miss it? Do we want it back?
I miss everything about HBO boxing, honestly.
Oh, that's so sad.
So, like, boxing Twitter was killing me because everyone was joking that Lennox Lewis kept asking, like, oh, hey, what happened? What just happened? Like, he wasn't paying attention or something. and so it was just like all these tweets about how like shit Lennox Lewis looked the entire time. And then like everyone was saying they kept like, apparently Deontay Wilder was just like partied out and like just yelling bomb squad. And like someone just kept tweeting like, I don't know where Wilder is, but you can definitely hear bomb squad being yelled out by Wilder in the arena.
You shouldn't say that in a major sporting venue. You shouldn't really have to hear the word bomb squad. I wouldn't,
so
of course, pandemonium.
Yeah, the entire kind of like Twitter sphere was like the pacing's terrible, the commentary's terrible, the PBC fighters that have come out to kind of like be here as like celebrities type, celebrity kind of guest are just acting out like crazy. So I wish I could have probably seen some of that stuff, but overall, I just heard this was just a real shit show. And like the like you were even saying right on the main event that it was just taking forever to start.
Well, there was that weird part. I don't know what it was. Remember that, Rob? Where like there was the final instruction from the ref. Like they were about to start the fight, and it was like a 3-minute. It wasn't that long, but it seemed like eternity. Like it was just both guys waiting for the fight to start. And like they never gave us a context shot of the whole ring as to what was happening. They just kept like flipping back and forth to like a close up shot of Spence and Mikey, and it was just weird. Again, it's the first pay per view card of a Fox production team. I'm expecting it not to be good. I didn't expect it to be as filler, like so filled with nonsense, so filled with fluff. That was the shocking part. Usually pay-per-views are fast. Usually that's the point of it. You paid for it. Like we just want the fight. Like you already got us, guys. Like you don't need to sell us on the fight anymore. We paid for it already. The $75 are in your bank account. Just move on.
I mean, we didn't get like Lennox Lewis and all that. We had just some other American guy, Solo Dolo, doing the whole thing, and we kept getting you were like, oh, interviewing Wilder now, and all I had was a deep pan of the stadium with this guy talking about the next coming fight, and he was really trying to pad it out, waiting for the next fight to start, and then we just got like a long shot of the ring from like way back in the stadium. So it was kind of like that, but
I love those.
It was like I felt the pacing of it was shit. I felt a lot of virtually all the matchups were shit. Yeah, and like I say, we just had this poor one guy on his own trying to just pad it out until some action came on again. But yeah, I mean, look, it was 100,000 seater stadium. Yes, it done half of it nearly, but you didn't get the perception that the place is like half empty. It's always cleverly done. Like some of like the DAZN cards, we heard, oh, it's only sold X amount, so half of it's going to be empty. But the camera angles, the shots, it always make you think, oh, there's more in there than that. But I just felt, it had that. At times, I thought, the Wembley Stadium, the Joshua fights, like, wow, and this is happening in America. Oh, cool. That's good for boxing. But I saw some people saying about a different venue in Dallas that they could have held it in, which is basically would have filled it if they'd have done that gate. But it seemed like a big deal. Obviously, plenty of people went out to see it. But yeah, for me, the pay-per-view, the pacing was
rough.
They took even a long time to get that swing belt on.
It was bad. It was bad. Let's move off. Let's move off of this because again, we're all in agreement here. Pay-per-view was shit. It should not have been pay-per-view.
Quickly though, Areola wants a shot at the title off of his win. Charles Martin picked up an impressive victory by getting punched in the dick 4 times, and the guy got disqualified.
Hey, Mike, you gonna run through the whole card?
I thought you were saying completely move on from the pay-per-view.
Move on from that, like talking, like that angle of the discussion of the pay-per-view. Because again, like it was shit. Like pay-per-view was shit. But brief mention, because we don't need to like do a deep dive on any of these fights on the undercard. I would say Benavidez defeated Jalen Love via TKO in the second round. Looked fantastic. Shout out to Benavidez. Just stay off the cocaine, or at least don't get caught with it. Let's be honest. And God, that Callum Smith fight or a Caleb Plant fight. So many good fights for David Benavidez. Plus, obviously, the Anthony Durrell fight to sort of get back his title. That is next for him. I'm okay with that if that's a FS1 or Fox, either main event or co-main, or if it's a Showtime main event. I'm completely okay with that. Or if it's a pay-per-view undercard. Like, let's say they put David Benavidez, Anthony Durrell on the undercard of Pacquiao, Spence. I'm okay with that. I'm willing to spend $75 on that card. I'll be honest. Hell, I spend it on this card, so that doesn't mean much, right? Luis Nery defeating McJoe Arroyo via complete domination. And Arroyo's corner stopping it in the 4th round. Was it the ref that stopped it? Yeah, it was the ref that stopped it, right? That was a standing stoppage, right? looked great. Luis Neri versus Obali for the WBC strap seems the most likely fight. It's in-house. It's a championship fight. Again, probably going to be a co-main to a Fox FS1 or Showtime card, or, again, maybe a pay-per-view undercard in the future. And you already mentioned Chris Arreola. Don't need to mention him anymore in my entire life. Charles Martin, don't need to mention him anymore in my entire life.
Well, you might have to when Wilder turns down the DAZN offer on Tuesday.
Let's just...
I'm just saying.
I'm out there sacrificing goats and shit, like making sure that does not happen, okay? I'm doing everything in my power to pray for the boxing gods that does not happen. So let's just wait till Tuesday.
You know you're going to be tweeting #Wilder Areola too.
Anyways, let's move on. The zone card. Unless we have anything else. Any other points about this Fox pay-per-view? Spence, Mikey. Spence being pound for pound. I know that was a little bit of an argument off air between me and Fu. I don't know, Fu, if you want to circle back to that and argue it on air if you're man enough. But anything else about this card?
I don't mind talking about that because I think largely people are going to agree with me. I don't think Spence is a top 10 pound for pound. I mean, I don't know. I would really have to rack my brain.
You think there is zero argument for Spence being pound for pound?
No, not that there's zero argument. He passes the eye test, but he has never unified a belt. His resume is not that deep. Like, he's not even tested himself against the biggest players at 147. And he's coming off a fight with a guy 2 weight classes lower that he didn't even stop.
Well, I'll put it this way. I think regardless of the Mikey fight, Spence was probably top 10 pound for pound. I'll be honest.
No.
Yes.
Off in a Campo fight?
Not off the Campo fight. Come on, man. The body of work. Come on. And an eye test matters a lot. You act like that's just like you passed the eye test. That matters fucking a lot. When we're talking about pound for pound, when we have to do fantasy like, oh, if all these guys were in the same weight class, who would be the best guy? When you have to, hold on, let me finish. When you have to do that, of course you have to use eye test as a massive factor in a fight. And also, resume means, in my opinion, not as much in pound for pound. Because we're talking about right now. And today, Sunday, right? Who is the top 10 guys in the entire sport? Rob, what are you doing on your phone? What are you looking up?
Looking for when you were arguing with Fu and how Spence has got a great resume. When you were having your pound for pound argument.
Like I said, resume is not it's not the biggest category. It's not the biggest qualifier for pound in my opinion. It's not. I think it's overrated. I think it is. Because again, like you brought up in your list, Triple G and Kovalev, right?
Yeah.
And specifically,
talking to you, Fu.
Yeah, talking to
I'm sure. I'm not backing down from that.
No, relax.
You could take Triple G out.
Well,
and replace him with Santa Cruz.
The listeners don't know what the conversation was, so okay. I have to present the conversation to them. Okay, relax.
This is when he tries to make you look foolish.
He is foolish. Okay.
No.
Well, quickly, Rob, can you bring up his top 10? I know you were right at that. I want his first top 10.
I can list it. I said not in any specific order. Crawford is my number 1.
Yeah, we don't need specific order. That doesn't matter. Right. That doesn't matter.
But here it is. Crawford.
Okay.
Usyk. Canelo.
All okay.
Loma.
All okay.
Then I would say, let me pull my thing. So Crawford, Loma. Inoue's in there.
Yep.
Sor Rungsvisai's in there.
Yep.
Hey, Kovalev just lost his belt and won it back. So you guys can hate on Kovalev all you want. I understand the man's not great in terms of the person he is. But
no, it's not about how he is as a person. Kovalev should not be top 10 pound for pound. Clearly. Okay, look at his unifications. They had years ago now. Okay. Never unified with Adonis Stevenson. So your sort of criticism of Errol Spence never facing the top guys.
Why didn't he?
Hold on. Never facing the top guys. It doesn't matter why. He didn't. It doesn't matter why. He did not. Okay? Kovalev never faced the best competition at 175. I mean, when he did, he lost. And yes, and he lost to Eddie Alvarez. Yes, he did win it, get the rematch back and won it in convincing fashion. But he's not a unified champ right now. I would say clearly you can't say he's the best guy at 175 even. with Bivol, Better Beef, and Vajdik? Really?
No, and I think
again, we've seen Kovalev be outboxed. We've seen him get stopped. We've seen him get knocked out. We've never seen Spence get outboxed. We've never seen him get hurt. We've never seen him get knocked out. So again, I think Kovalev is a huge stretch right now in 2019. And Triple G is coming off of a loss and a draw. He is not a champion. He is not a unified champion. Sure. He was, but we're not talking about what he did.
You could still put Nietes in over the guy.
Nietes just vacated his belt because he didn't want to fight Ashton Pilate.
Oh.
What are you talking about? Nietes?
Where are you pointing to?
Way over there in the distance.
That's probably the wrong direction.
They're in the distance.
Matt,
okay.
If he's outside your window, you want to stop talking shit about the guy?
Fuck you, Nietes. Okay. No. Like you could have brought up a Tanaka, and I would have been like, oh, maybe, because he is a multiple division champion. But come on, man, this is bad. This is Spence. Spence is 100% pound for pound quality. Does he have the signature win yet? No. But I would clearly argue to this day that neither does Crawford, neither does Loma. To this day.
How could you say Crawford? Crawford
does not have a signature win.
Undisputed unified champion.
That's great.
At 140.
That's great.
Moved up and has a belt in his next weight class.
And he still doesn't. He still doesn't have a signature win. What is it? Gamboa, Postal, Horn. What's the signature win?
He cleaned out his division.
That is great. It's a division that was shit. Again, what is his signature win? What is his win against a pound for pound talent? Does he have one?
No.
Exactly.
He doesn't.
Loma's best win is what? Linares?
I mean,
Gary Russell Jr.?
You could say that, but it's like people throw Inui on a list. What's his signature win?
Maybe Taguchi. That was an early signature win for him.
Spence's signature win.
Yeah, Spence's signature win.
I didn't say Spence. I didn't say Spence did. No. I never said Spence had a signature win.
Here's the thing.
What I'm saying is that I think you sort of allude that Spence doesn't have like that win. He doesn't have a win against anyone that matters. He doesn't have that big win. But neither does a lot of guys in the top 10 right now. And what Usyk's big win is Tony Bellew? Like again, like
Usyk's thing is unifying and becoming undisputed in a weight class.
Again, you are misunderstanding my point, Fu. My point is to show that your argument, that your singular argument, just isolating this. Let me finish. Let me finish my point, Fu.
All he has to do is
Fu, don't interrupt me.
He's never unified.
Fu, don't interrupt me. Let me finish my point, please. Thank you. Okay, I'm isolating your point about signature wins, about a big win. And I think my point's pretty clear because everyone else is agreeing with me in the chat that some of these guys do not have signature wins. So that to use that as a criteria isn't good enough for me. I think you can use other stuff like, again, unifying division. That's a better argument.
But I said that was part of my argument.
I understand that. What I'm saying is I'm only isolating that part of it, and then we can tackle individual parts of the argument. Do you understand this, Phil?
Gotcha.
Okay, I'm not throwing away your other points. I'm just saying this point you made about Spence is not a good point because you can use it against these other fighters you've mentioned.
Yes, except for those other fighters have the addendum to my argument,
of course.
Is they've unified in a division,
of course,
or won belts in other divisions.
Absolutely,
which is what pound for pound is for. James, you asked earlier, do I have Joshua in a pound for pound? No, because I don't put heavy.
Don't respond to James. He's a troll. He's a troll. Why are you responding to James?
That's fine. I just answer his question. I don't put heavyweights in pound
Callum
for pound.
Smith bumps your Spence.
Callum Smith, what?
He bumps your Spence.
Why?
Because I doubt you've got Callum Smith in your pound for pound top 10. And I reckon he's good enough to bump out Spence.
I can't tell if like Rob is trolling or this came from left field. I don't know what you're talking about with Callum Smith. That was...
He is not trolling. This is complete flag waving. And yeah, the chat wants us to move on because pound for pound is too subjective.
It 100% is subjective. But what I will say is, Fu, you being very adamant that Spence is not pound for pound is just flat out wrong.
He's fought in one weight class, never unified, doesn't have a signature win.
Triple G fought in a single weight class
unified.
This whole time. He's not unified now.
He was.
That's great.
That's what I'm saying.
Sugar Ray Leonard was unified and moved up tons of weight classes. He's not boxing now. It doesn't matter. What are you talking about?
You're isolating certain parts of the argument to win, and I love.
I'm not isolating certain parts of the argument. I'm just tackling it from each point, and then adding them all up in total. And I think in total, my points add up. That Spence, no, there's an argument that he's pound for pound, and to say that he isn't, and be adamant about that, is a little bit, I think, wrong. I think it's just, again, when you look at all the fighters out there, the ones that you mentioned, there's an argument for it. Clearly, we're arguing. So,
yeah. Oh, for sure. This doesn't bother me at all.
No. But you were very adamant earlier off air, not so much on air, but off air you were like, nah, Spence, ha ha ha, in that tone too.
It was definitely in that tone,
100%,
and I meant every word I said.
Hold on, I have the exact laugh.
Unifies. If Spence unifies, he's definitely
Spence pound for pound.
That's what I said.
Yes, that's what you said. But anyways, we can move on.
Now ask me if Spence pound for pound.
You put Josh when you pound for pound.
Ask me.
It's. Oh no, I know. It's Spence pound for pound.
Ask me again, because I've thought about it since.
No.
Oh, God! You can't handle the truth.
Anyways, digressing. Let's get to this DAZN card. Let's see how. What, Rob?
I said yes.
I know.
Good card.
Yeah, DAZN, Eddie. Yay! It was a good Friday night card. Again, like anytime you have a Friday night card and you add a title to it, I'm happy because my standards of a Friday night card are pretty low. So you now have exceeded them, and not only one title fight, two.
It was better than a title fight on a pay-per-view card because there was more world titles on it.
Oh, you're talking about the Katie Taylor fight, right?
And Tevin Farmer.
There's only one title on that one. What are you talking about?
What?
It's only the IBF belt, man. What are you talking about? It's not a unification. Tevin Farmer against Jonah Carroll, that's not a unification, fam. Jonah Carroll's not a champion.
No, but Katie Taylor
was a champion of our heart.
Oh, when you said more belts on the line, I was like, yeah, Katie Taylor, right? And you said, no, Tevin Farmer. I'm like,
yeah,
no.
And Tevin Farmer. More belts accumulation on that card than there were on the Fox.
Anyways, you're just saying exactly what I said, and then never mind. Tevin Farmer versus Jonah Carroll. Tevin Farmer looked great. I think we fought exactly as we thought, right? Jonah Carroll was going to be inside, throwing that volume. Tevin Farmer was going to be too much class. I will say this, though. I'm shocked that all the judges seem to have got it right, where they weren't judging it from Jonah Carroll's volume because he threw an absurd amount. I forget the exact punch stats.
It was over 2,000 punches, right?
Yeah, it was something insane. I think it was a record, right, at that division?
It's like the third highest ever.
Yeah, it was some absurd, god-awful amount. So whenever that happens, I'm always concerned about how judges will score it based off pure volume, pure activity, because some judges do that. And Jonah Carroll was on the inside landing some body shots here and there. He was landing at times. It wasn't like Tevin Farmer was perfect in outclassing him. He was just better than him. He just had levels to him. Jonah Carroll didn't. Jonah Carroll didn't really have a jab. Like that, I think, was his big flaw, is that Jonah Carroll didn't really jab his way on the inside. He would just sort of walk his way inside and just eat shots the entire time. Obviously, at this point, I just want to see Davis versus Farmer. Like, I just want that fight. I want this entire discussion, this entire debate online about who would win and their beef to be settled. I really am over it. And also, I mean, Tevin Farmer, he is a really good, talented boxer, but I don't think he's the guy to take over this division quite yet. I'll be honest. Might be a little bit critical of him, but I think he's a great boxer. But is he the guy? I don't know yet. I want to face better opponents for me to really understand that. Rob, I want your thoughts on this. Farmer, Carroll.
No, I agree. Nice to see, after the fight the next day, Farmer and Jonah Carroll hanging out, going for cheesesteak, something around.
Yeah.
Tevin took him around Philly. They looked like they were, cool. After the quite hostile, fight week, obviously that's what the sport's about. You gain the respect and everything's cool out, done and dusted after the dust has settled and stuff. So, but no, it was a fun fight. Carroll, I think, came out of it. His stock has kind of gone up, in a way like some American eyes on him. I think he sort of won a few people over with his grit and determination, and just that. I think Philly and John O'Carroll is a perfect fit. I think people from Philly would have loved that kind of fighter. Never quitting, never giving up, and coming to fight. So I think he would have gone down well there. But yeah, Farmer, he's just too good. He was too slick landed, a much cleaner work, and dealt with the pressure. I mean, I don't think either guy particularly hits massively hard. So that's my only question mark about a Farmer and a Davis fight. Has he got the sort of pop to keep Tank off him? But he's got the skill.
Or even to add like a Miguel Burchelt. Like maybe Miguel Burchelt's power and his fundamentals are too much for a Farmer. Because Farmer does eat shots. It's not like he's a perfect defensive boxer. He's not Pernell Whitaker.
He switches off at times, Farmer. I think he kind of sometimes whether it's life's a little bit too easy and he's all slick and this, that, and the other. He kind of starts, almost looking around the venue. Takes his you got to be careful what you say here because it takes his eye off it. But
if you just rolled on, no one would have caught on.
I know it was in my head that I know what I would be thinking if I was in the chat and talking about what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, it could have been far worse. So the eye is not that bad. Yeah, okay. I get what you're saying.
But no, he seems to just switch off. His concentration sometimes isn't quite on point. Because I think he could. I don't know, he goes all lazy and he's happy to sort of show his skills and defensive work. When
I wouldn't say lazy. I wouldn't say lazy. I think he's too comfortable at times. If that's even a thing. I think he's such a natural fighter, if that makes sense. And Fu, I'm gonna switch over to you now, if that's okay, Rob, and just get Fu's brief thoughts on this as well. I'm gonna liken it to like this MMA reference, but like a Jorge Masvidal, right? Like a guy that has been around the block for a very, very long time. That is a natural fighter, grew up fighting. They sort of put themselves in situations they shouldn't because they are ultimately very comfortable in those situations. They don't feel like they are in danger, unlike maybe the viewer who is watching the fight and sees maybe, oh, this might look dangerous. Your perception on this fight overall, and Farmer's a sort of ability to get sucked into fights, into positions that he necessarily shouldn't be in.
Well, every moment where Farmer was in the middle of the ring, kind of like on the outside still, but still like not against the ropes, he just looked fantastic. Like you could see like, man, this guy is so talented. But then he would do this thing where he would go back just into the ropes. It would be like maybe the last minute of the round, last minute, 15 seconds of the round, back into the ropes. And then Carroll would just kind of get on top of him and he'd have some great head movement, look really slick, but still get caught with some shots, taking way too much damage. And let's face it, Burchelt's going to hurt him in those moments. Tank is going to hurt him in those moments. It's like he's got to be switched on for the entire fight. The full 3-minute round, dancing like he does the first minute and a half to 2 minutes of each round. But he just has that thing where, like you said, I think he's been a guy who's taken, punches and gotten back up. He's had a hard life. He talks about that a lot. He's very much a guy who is big on his toughness. And I don't think that's a bad thing, but I think you shouldn't put yourself in a position to get hurt intentionally to prove yourself, right? And I think that's where I wish he would get off the ropes sometimes and just continue to outbox and outclass. Because I don't mind 12 rounds of someone outclassing someone is fantastic to me. I don't need to see a knockout, but 12 rounds of like giving up that last minute and a half and letting a guy just kind of just throw tons of shots at you while you're up against the ropes. That's not appealing. It doesn't look good. And it could lead to a bad judge's decision because you don't know what he's getting hit with. You don't know what he's slipping. It's really hard to tell in those moments. So I hope he works on that, especially going into some of the tougher fights he wants.
Absolutely agree. It seems like the chat is in consensus here. Like Gervonta, Burchelt, they beat Farmer right now. I think is sort of the consensus of the chat right now. That's interesting. I'm not going to say that Farmer, like maybe it was 6 months ago or something like that, he sort of had a bunch of hype. He had obviously the signing with Matchroom and his own. But I think people are sort of going back to sort of the status quo of the opinion of Tevin Farmer is that he's a very talented boxer. Definitely a guy that's going to collect belts here and there. But there is a major concern about whether or not he is really, quote, the goods, that he is the guy to take over a division. It just seems other people at 130, and especially 135 or 126, wherever Farmer goes, Farmer's not going to be that guy. Farmer always going to play second fiddle or even less than that. But again, he fought well.
The other thing is, I don't think we should take anything away from Carroll. His team they had a great strategy. The strategy just to hit Farmer wherever he could touch him, right? Shoulders, arms, hips, wherever he could put gloves on him. It was like, just hit him, and that did kind of force Farmer into like a defensive kind of shell and into the head movement and trying to like style on him versus like his own game plan. So I think people definitely will look at it and see that there's a way to beat Farmer. And if you're more powerful than Carroll, which isn't saying a lot, you're going to have some success if he leans up against the ropes like that.
Absolutely agree. Fat Apples was one of the best trolls in a while, saying pound for pound, number 1, Anthony Durrell, number 2, Rob Brandt, number 3, Jose Ramirez, number 4, Deontay Wilder, number 5, Chris Eubank. I like that. That was good. That was funny. Any last thoughts about Farmer, Jonah Carroll, guys?
No, just fun fight.
Yeah.
And I thought John O'Carroll done himself proud. I wasn't quite expecting that. I thought he was going to tire out, but he just kept coming and coming. It's great. So, but fun fight.
Last sort of 2 points I will say about this. I agree, and I want to echo what Rob said about the sort of post-fight going to get a Philly cheesesteak moment. I thought that was awesome. These two guys were talking mad shit before the fight, especially Jonah Carroll. I think they probably sort of knew that, hey, this is just the game. I think both guys are self-aware enough for that. But it was 100% one of the coolest things to see on Saturday morning, the video of Jonah Carroll in the car with Tevin Farmer just being goofballs, man. That was cool. That was legit awesome to see. And the second thing I'll say about this, and it's overall for the entire card, it wasn't a really filled-out arena, I will say this. They definitely undersold the event. But the people that were there were obviously really hardcore boxing fans, and the crowd that was there, even though it was a very small crowd, was a great crowd. So that's awesome to see. Anytime we see a great crowd that actually adds to a fight, like the Rosado-Silitsky fight, which we're going to get to in a bit, that crowd added to the fight. Just wanted to make that quick point. Katie Taylor versus Rose Vellante. Sorry, Rob, do you want to make a comment about the crowd?
I think there was about 6,500 at the venue for the DAZN card. But like you say, they were a rowdy, fight-loving crowd. So it made it kind of didn't matter that it wasn't sort of 15,000 or 10,000. It was a good, strong 6,000 to 7,000 fight fans.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
Did you guys watch the post-fight interview with Campbell ringside?
No.
And like some bottle just goes crashing into shit, and like glasses break in, and Campbell like looks, he's like, okay, and then he like resumes the interview. It's a rowdy fucking crowd.
That's that Philly crowd, man. Philly crowds don't get boxing a lot, but when they do, they turn up. That is a boxing town. Katie Taylor versus Rose Vellante for a lightweight unification in the women's divisions. Really fun fight, I'll be honest. This is one or two, depending on my take on the day and my opinion, the best fight of the weekend. It's either this fight or the Tanaka fight as the best fight of the weekend. Vellante came out hyper-aggressive, and Katie Taylor, to her credit, she decided numerous times, you know what, fuck boxing, fuck the game plan, and was on the inside and throwing, 8-piece combinations like lightning, Rob? Like, that was insane. It wasn't like in the first round, too. Like, they started just going off the rip. I think like in the first 30 seconds, Vellante like really pressed Taylor, and Taylor stood her ground and unleashed a combination. And it was so fast, I swear to God, I missed some of the punches. Like, it was like the Flash. And also, I mean, it was a fun fight overall. I think Katie Taylor obviously was the better one throughout. I think she was obviously winning the fight, winning most of the rounds, if not all the rounds. But it was a fun, competitive fight. Rose gave her a really tough going, even though it was a pretty clear, decisive who was winning this fight, even though up till the TKO in the 9th. But fun fight. Again, one of the best fights of the weekend. Katie Taylor, again, being one of the best fighters out there in boxing. I mean, there's going to be, maybe in a few years we can have this discussion, but Katie Taylor in a sort of unified in terms of like the gender of boxing, pound for pound rankings. Katie Taylor, at one point in her career, there will be, think pieces and articles and op-eds being written about how Katie Taylor should be a top 10 boxer regardless of sex or gender. She is that talented. I think she's quickly gaining a resume at now 13-0. Rob, as a fellow Katie Taylor fanboy, how was the fight? Did you enjoy it as much as I did?
She is, I don't know. She's like a phenom. I think if I think it was Gamal Yafai, Cal Yafai's younger brother. Mm-hmm. He was like, just put Taylor in with some of the guys now because there ain't no woman on the planet beating Katie Taylor. They can't deal with it. She is. Her conditioning, her hand speed, like shot selection, like you said, Matt. Volante come out real hard and fast, and Taylor's like, and she does it a lot when she has to be reined in. Her corner's like, just box because you are legitimately the best female boxer on the planet. Your footwork, your everything, you're just too good for these women. But she cannot help trading off sometimes. But I think it was Matt Macklin on the Sky commentary was like, that was good. That impressed me because Volante come out hard and fast, and it was rumored she was quite a puncher. And it was as if Katie Taylor was like, nah, you're not going to bully me. You're not going to get your game plan in. I'm going to sort of do it my way. But if she had power, if Katie Taylor had pop as well, oh my God. She's just phenomenal. I can't say enough about her. I think she's just amazing, and I think there's a lot of the male boxers were like, "Fuck, how does she?" Just her engine, her throwing hands, and just crazy. But no, it's looking like there's virtually a deal done in place for her to unify the division on the Joshua undercard. And it was interesting. It came up that in the division above, she's already beaten 3 of the champions that are now in the division above. So I know they say about champ, but she could be undisputed.
Did Rob just bring out a UFC term right there? Fu, did you hear that? He said champ.
He did say champ.
Boxers say champ as well, man. It's all good.
No, they don't, Rob. Not in this world. Not in the MCR world.
No.
It's only MMA guys.
I mean,
champ.
Wait, hold on. When who? Name a time. I'm curious. Can you recollect any fighter that said I'm champ? That's a boxer.
I'll find tweets with champ.
Go for it. Find it.
I think we call Nija champ.
But we called her that because of MMA. Connor started that.
My bad.
All right. I'm not saying who started it. It's not like.
Calm down, Robert.
Did who? But boxers use
relax,
it.
relax, Rob. Relax.
No, wait. In fact, just to give you the facts, it was Clarissa Shields saying it about Taylor before the champ going for another title. So there you go.
I don't think that was first. But anyways, digressing.
I didn't say it was first. Oh my God, are you even listening?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm switching up the argument now. You've clearly.
This is what he does.
Yeah. He does, right? Yeah.
He wins. I wins arguments.
Fu, you're just mad that I won that pound for pound argument. It's okay, man.
Dude, you did. Everyone in the chat was like, Fu's getting killed. Thanks, chat.
Anyways, Fu, your thoughts on Katie Taylor? Pound for pound over Spence? Pound for pound over Spence, right?
Easy.
She throws combinations and puts her punches together better than possibly anyone in boxing. I mean, when you watch her really get warmed up and just the way she's in and out of the pocket and how many combinations she throws, man, I was so impressed. She steals every show that she's on. Like every card that she's on, she puts on the best fight. And it's because she legitimately fights the best potential opponent almost every single fight. It's like, it's never like a give me fight. It's like, Serrano. Now we're gonna go with Volante. Then we're gonna go with Pursoon. Then we're gonna go with the other Serrano. Like, dude, she's literally fighting every fight as like the toughest person she could get in the ring with her at the time, and it's incredible to watch. And I agree. I think there will be a long-term conversation about where she places even among men, because I think that women's boxing is going to be on that footing at some point, because the girls that are coming up now, the women that are coming out of the Olympics and stuff, they get to look up to the people that we're watching now. And it's just incredible, like what they're able to do. My other point to that would be that I think if they had 3-minute rounds, the pop wouldn't matter, because she would be like a Lomachenko, where girls would be quitting on their stools. The accumulation would be too much. The 2-minute rounds save a lot of these fights, and they 100% need to treat women equally with the 3-minute rounds, 12-round fights. It's just garbage.
It's archaic.
It's 2 minutes.
It's archaic. It is literally like mid 20th century sexism, misogyny. It is 100% that. And Mauricio Sulaiman coming out like recently and saying like, nah, like we're not going to change anything about that. Scum. Fuck you, Sulaiman. Yeah, I said it. Anyways, Rosado versus Silitsky, a really fun fight. I did not expect this one to be a fun fight. Rosado losing, obviously, a unanimous decision. It was like I said, really fun back and forth. Silitsky was winning and quite dominant in the early part of this fight, but Rosado, man, he is just that. I'm trying to think of another sort of person that's like him. A perennial top 25 guy that just gives everyone trouble. Regardless of who he fights, it's gonna be an issue. He's gonna hurt you at times. He's gonna make you miss at times. Like, he is just a wily veteran at this point. And Silitsky, maybe a little bit overrated when he fought Jacobs, possibly. But again, back and forth fight. Rosado trying, at least in the first half of the fight, trying to be the better boxer of the two. Silitsky sort of walking him down. And then obviously there was the 10th round or the 9th round? Right, it was the 9th round. Rosado knocking down Silitsky twice, earning a 10-7 round. Definitely changed the entire tone of the fight at the very end. The crowd was on its feet, yelling at the top of their lungs. It was a really cool sort of, Friday night fight moment in a sense. I liked it. But Silitsky obviously winning the fight because of all the rounds he put in the beginning. Rob, I'll go to you first since I know you're hyped to talk about this one. Rosado, Silitsky putting on a real fun fight. Your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to you saying about, the crowd. It was just lit. As soon as Gabe knocked Silitsky down in the 9th, the place went crazy. And then he pounced on him, got him down there again. And I think another 30 seconds, and Rosado could have come away winning that fight. And even if it was a 12-rounder instead of a 10-rounder, he came on so strong. That knockdown really lifted him. And then obviously he went in for the kill, got the second knockdown. He's obviously said he feels the ref should have stopped it. But, Silitsky got up fairly quickly. I don't think, again, Gabe is particularly blessed with awesome power. Like that go to sleep kind of power, but he caught him. But yeah, I mean, the guy's just a warrior. You've got to love guys like that. Whether protecting the O or anything like that, he's been in with most guys. He's never really shied away from any kind of fight, and the Philly crowd just absolutely loved him. They were all singing like King Gabe and chanting his name. I just wish he could have had a little bit longer in that 9th round, or for it to have been a 12-rounder. It was, because like you say, Silitsky early on, he was just jabbing his head off and landing right hands, kind of at will. Gabe really couldn't kind of figure it out. He got caught early, kind of around the back of the head, back of the ear, but, it is what it is. And he was on he was on some bad legs for a little while, but like you say, a wily old veteran, got himself through the round. And just he's always giving himself a chance, So shout out to him. He's had some career. He's a real warrior, pure fighter. But yeah, real fun fight. I really enjoyed it. Like halfway through, I was like, oh, this is just a straight UD coming in, and it ended up a UD, but a really interesting. Like, whoa, that's just changed. That's just changed it. But yeah, great, really good fight in the end. And like you said, that Philly raucous crowd really made that fight even more fun because they were absolutely loving it.
Yeah, especially when Rosado got those 2 knockdowns. That Philly crowd went into overdrive, man. That was insane. I've never seen a crowd to get that amped before. I'll be honest. Like, there are very few moments in fight history I can point to and go like, yeah, that is equal to pound for pound, to use that phrase, Fu, that a crowd was that, excited for a moment in a fight, and it just happened to be Gabriel Rosado, who is sort of like a hometown guy. Again, sort of like the journeyman route, but sometimes that means a lot to some people in the local area.
It was to me like a throwback to those old ECW wrestling, like tables. Then they smashed it like holy shit, holy! It was like crazy. The place just went nuts. That was great. Like made the hairs on your arms sort of.
Mm-hmm.
It's epic. That's what sort of sport is all about.
Fu, your thoughts on Rosado losing to Silitsky, the matchup itself, what's next for both men, etc.?
Well, they're talking about Siletsky getting a shot at the title. Was that
Demetrius Andrade?
Yeah, against Andrade. So I don't think either one of those guys beats Andrade, but maybe a fun fight. And Rosado, he's always in fun fights, man. He's a warrior, doesn't back down. Just, you got to have a lot of respect for the guy. So I have a whole lot of thoughts on that fight. Like the 9th got really fun. But up until that point, it was just, you can see how talented like Gabe is when he really picks his moments. But you can just see like he's just really
old.
He gets cut real easy. Like, he's got like, he's got that worn fighter, but great fight.
Very fun fight. Brief mention, Hank Lundy, Avery Sparrow winning via majority decision. Heard that's a very fun fight. Have not seen it, I'll admit. The only other fight I saw on this card was Luke Campbell versus Adrian Young. Luke Campbell looked good, got the 5th round TKO. Daenerys Listenoff picked up a unanimous decision win. I know Rob did not like that performance. So, Rob, I'll go to you first and sort of give your thoughts on these undercard bouts in more detail.
Yeah, Campbell looked good. This guy had never been stopped. And carries, he's got quite a high knockout ratio. But Campbell, after a round and a half, maybe 2 rounds, he really got into the groove, and he looked fantastic. I think he's on course to. Hopefully, we hear Mike is vacating or whatever soon, because it looks like he's going to get that title shot in the summer. So whether it is Mikey or not, but if not, he'll be fighting for the vacant bout. And there was a lot of talk about Devin Haney on the broadcast, which met with Eddie Hearn on the night. He was there, and he said he was watching Luke Campbell. Also spoke to Eddie Hearn on the night about possibly, with Haney Promotions or whatever it is, linking up with DAZN maybe. He says he's got a lot of offers, but yeah, Luke Campbell very good. Who else was it you said?
The Hank Lundy Sparrow fight, and then also the Daenerys Listenoff fight.
Yes, Lundy and Sparrow was a really good fight. I felt it was a what was it? There was quite a high demand for this to be seen, so DAZN played it on their YouTube channel, on the social media channels, and they've uploaded it. It's available to watch on the DAZN USA
for
YouTube
free.
Channel for UK guys. If not, I guess it's for the people with you. It'll be on the DAZN app for the American viewers. But yeah, fun fight. You're loosening off. For such a standout amateur, I think he's really taken his time, sort of making his mark in the pro game. I guess it's just not for certain fighters. I think he'll get there, but we've seen other Olympians come on the scene and really sort of, take to it real quick. And also, was it the young kid made his debut? Williams, was it?
Williams. I don't see a.
No,
I see John Joe Nevin. I see Raymond Ford.
Raymond Ford, that's it. Raymond Ford, the Savage, that's it. They call him Raymond the Savage Ford. Made his debut, got a knockdown early. Then he kind of rushed his work a little bit, got a little excited. But, he's a young kid. I think he's like 19. But yeah, easily. And he looked sharp. Apparently, very much a long-term sparring partner with Shakur Stevens. So yeah, that's some good work that he's going to be working with such another talented fighter. So keep an eye on that kid, see how far he's going to go in the game. But yeah, he looks sharp. But yeah, I really enjoyed the card. Didn't realize we were going to get quite so many fights on the Sky feed. I thought we were going to be starting later, and then I flicked through the channels and realized it was already made a start on Sky quite early. So I was like real chuffed to see more of the fights, because in other DAZN cards we've kind of picked up like the one before the co-main and then the co-main.
I didn't know that. Good to know.
Yeah. So we're getting some of it, but this one we got quite a bunch of it. So it's been quite a month for Sky. They've been calling this like March Madness. We've had a whole heap of fights. We got more cards this coming week, the week after. So yes, it was a good card. I enjoyed it.
I will say this before I jump to the last fight we're going to talk about, then move on to callers. So 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. Add Mixed Combat Radio on Skype if you are international. And for the sake of time, we're going to have to move on to the last fight we're going to talk about. But I will say this. Fu, Rob makes fun of the fact that you talk a lot. And I just want to make it known that Rob talks equally as much as you, if not more. And I don't think Rob realizes that he's a talker now. Like, Rob used to be kind of a quiet guy, but, like, you have to, like, sort of pull information out of it. But I can let Rob just go for, like, 15, 20 minutes. And he doesn't breathe, man. It's like Deontay Wilder up in here. I like it.
Whoa, take that back right now.
Nope, I am not, man. I worry about you breathing. That's how much you talk like Wilder. And I'm like, are you face turning blue? Lack of oxygen in there.
That is mind-boggling.
Don't be frustrated.
Is it frustrating that I talk so much? Is it frustrating?
Anyways,
you've got me self-conscious now. Do I talk too much? Do I not? Is it a problem that I do?
It's not a problem. Stop.
You're very articulate, Robert.
Anyways, Koze Tanaka versus Ryuichi Taguchi. A fantastic back-and-forth fight. Taguchi obviously coming back from the Hickey Butler loss and moving up a weight class. Kind of the only downside to this matchup, because I really do like this matchup. Taguchi has never been finished, and the guys that he has lost to are top competition, top level fighters. Inoue beat him years ago, and Inoue didn't even knock him out. So I didn't expect a knockout, but I did want to see Tanaka do a little bit more than what I saw in the Kimura fight. I didn't really see that. I saw a little bit more of the same, but the same is still pound for pound talent. It's still Tanaka being a prodigy, a phenom. When people talk about how good of a boxer Mikey is, Tanaka is that. He is fundamentally clean, great head movement, great footwork, laterally and forwards and backwards. On top of that, great power, great body work, a varied offensive output. Tanaka is one of the most exciting fighters to watch right now in boxing. If you need to find this fight, Asian Boxing on Twitter, they have all the links to this stuff. Go find them on Twitter. Trust me, that's how I find all the Asian fights that aren't either shown or streamed in the US or UK. Just go there. It's on YouTube. I can guarantee you guys find Andrew. Anyways, Andrew Taylor saying Matt pisses off his co-host a lot. That's definitely true.
And you guys only see it on here.
You guys have no idea what that group chat looks like, guys. It is rough, man. I'm surprised I even have friends. Anyways.
I'm not your friend.
Whoa, that's so mean. Oh, my God. I'm so hurt. Anyways, going to Gary. Somebody else that talks a lot. Gary, in Dallas. What's up?
No one talks more than me. No one. I had a couple of things. First off, Fu, did you really ask what Inoue's signature win is? He jumped up 2 weight classes to beat Navarez. Like a legend. Someone who was a world champion for a decade. And Inoue jumped up 2 weight classes and knocked him out. Is that a real question?
I mean, they had to bring that guy out of the nursing home, right?
He was a world
I'm
champion.
just playing, Gary.
Chill.
Relax, Gary.
He was joking. He was joking.
Matt was sitting quietly because it was Fu who asked Matt what his biggest win was. And Matt said a different one.
Navarez is the better one.
But sure, it might be I don't know. The Navarez fight was brutal too. Inoue probably has the best resume in the sport. Maybe Crawford, and he's only had how many fights did Inoue had? 15, 16, 18 fights?
Yep.
He probably got the best resume in the sport. I mean, I don't know what you're getting at, Phil, with that.
Well, and very quickly, Gary, you do know that Inoue was in Fu's pound for pound.
Yeah.
It was. Okay.
Yeah.
But Errol Spence wasn't.
Yes.
Okay.
What I'm trying to get at is some barbecue with a nice baked potato and some other stuff. So
top 10, I got Errol Spence 6 pound for pound. I got Crawford 1, Loma 2, Inoue 3, Usyk 4, Canelo 5, Spence 6, and I would say Sorong is 7, Mikey is 8, Jarrett Hurd is 9, and Miguel Berchelt is 10. That would be my top 10 pound for pound list. Okay. All right.
You got. I don't want to discuss this.
I don't want to discuss.
Who hit that?
Who hit that? Oh, see, Gary, man, he wants the smoke right now.
I want smoke.
That was Rob.
That was Rob.
I don't sit there lying.
It was you.
Who on that list is wrong? Like, who on that list is just clearly wrong?
No one.
Or
It's
out
a
of order?
subjective list, and you can like whoever you want, Gary.
Guys, Gary, I need to make this known. Fu has dinner waiting for him. So that's why he doesn't want any of the smoke, any of the debates, because Fu's hungry and is too hungry to debate you.
No, I'm not too hungry to debate. I just don't know shit about boxing. Where's my shirt?
How much longer, guys? Got food waiting. No rush.
Got food waiting, guys. Can you please end the show?
Like, getting your ass kicked in debates makes you hungry.
What does this one say? Please don't let Gary call in. No.
No, I would never say that. Gary's one of my favorite callers.
Is he one of the pound for pound callers of FCR?
Yes. Resume and all.
Pound for pound. I want to talk about the Fox telecast, right?
Okay.
When Fox covers other sports, right, on Sundays, Fox football against CBS football, Fox is better. When Fox does the World Series, as opposed to ABC or ESPN, Fox is better, right? So Fox typically covers sports better. Now, I agree that broadcast team is not good, but they could easily fix that in-house. They have Gus Johnson, who used to do fights for Showtime, works for Fox. He does college football for Fox. Fire everyone and just put Gus Johnson as your play-by-play guy. And it's a PBC broadcast. They have Andre Berto or Jamel Charlo, who would do a great job as the color guy, or use both of them. They can fix that problem internally tomorrow. But I agree, the broadcast team they have is a disaster, but that could be fixed so easily. They don't even have to go outside. They don't have to hire anyone. They already have the solution in-house. Like, how much better would a telecast be if it was Gus Johnson doing the play-by-play and Jamel Charlo doing the color?
I don't know about Jamel Charlo doing the color, but I will say this. Anything right now is better than what they have. Like, any sort of experimentation right now should be encouraged. Like, they should just throw anything against the wall right now. Different sort of combinations of people, different people. Throw anything against the wall and see what works.
What about Sean Porter to do the color? There's guys on Showtime who can have the Mars. There's guys who can do it. Right? They don't have to go outside of the brand. They can keep it all in house and they can solve their problem. But yeah, as bad as they are, and they are terrible. I do not miss HBO, Matt. I can't believe he even said that. I do not. Miss Max and Jim.
I do. I miss those three. I miss Lampley, Roy Jones, and Max Kellerman together, man. I do. Compared to this, yeah.
What about John Madden?
Jim Lampley.
Stop.
Jim Lampley's fanboyism and Max Kellerman trying to be the smartest person in the room on every topic ever. I can't.
This guy hits like a bus.
Yeah, why does everyone hate Max so much? Man, he's not a bad commentator.
It's weird you say that, Matt.
Yeah.
Hey, look, when Gary said the reasons why he didn't like Max, I'm like, look, I don't want to go too much on the Max is a good commentator hill to die on because, I mean, come on, it's me, guys. I try to sound like I'm smarter than everyone, so I get it.
The thing about Max, Max makes some good points. Like, okay, I never thought of that. But then he becomes like the Alex Jones of sports media, where he just says ridiculous things to try to get someone to respond to it, right? Like Floyd, Manny's better pound for pound than Floyd. Like that's just that's ridiculous. He did a show on ESPN where he said Alfonso Soriano is the greatest baseball player of all time statistically. It's like you know what I'm saying? He's just so ridiculous. He tries to be the smartest person by saying absurd things and then trying to justify the absurd things that he says. Look, he's not a dumb guy, right? He's a smart guy. He's a really smart guy. But if he was half as smart as he thought he was, he'd be Einstein. You know what I'm saying? It's like no one is as smart as Max Kellerman thinks he is smart. That's Max's problem.
And he would still be better than everyone right now on the PPC telecast and the Zones telecast.
You don't like the Zones telecast either? I like the Zones telecast. With,
it's getting better.
Brian Kenny and Sergio?
It's getting better.
Okay.
It's getting better. I'm not a fan of Brian Kenny, though. Like, I fundamentally am not. I think he tries. Like, I'll put it this way. He tries. I think he has a good voice, like, unlike Chris Myers. Like, I think Chris Myers has a awful announcing voice. Brian Kenny has a good voice for announcing. I just think I don't want Brian Kenny telling me about boxing. I could give two shits about what Brian Kenny thinks about the sport. Brian Kenny has never seemed like he's cared.
He's not supposed to tell you about the sport. He's supposed to tell you what's happening. Right? That's what they have the
I understand that, Gary, but I'll put it this way. If you are a commentator for a boxing fight, I should realistically believe that you watch the sport.
I agree.
I don't think Brian Kenny watched the sport.
You don't think he's covered boxing for a long time?
That is great.
You might be right.
That is great. Stephen A. Smith. Look at Stephen A. Smith. I think Stephen A. Smith doesn't really watch boxing. He watches the ESPN cards he has to do and the research he has to do for the jobs he gets for Top Rank. But that is it.
That is true. But Stephen A. Smith has embarrassed himself by how little he knows about boxing. Like he didn't know who Randall Bailey was. Randall Bailey might not be the world's greatest fighter, but he was a world champion. And like, if you're a boxing fan, you love watching Randall Bailey fight. That guy had special power at 147. And he was like, Jeff Long beat some dude named Randall Bailey. It's like, yeah, Randall Bailey was good. Like, that's a good name on your resume. But I don't see Brian Kenny embarrassing himself like that, right? He might not know the history
you're right.
of the sport. He might not know the sport like Max does inside and out. He can tell you the lineal champion of the flyweight division going back to 1900. But I don't think Kenny embarrasses himself. And I wanted to get to Errol Spence next. I still think Crawford beats him, but I'm getting close to thinking that this is a 50-50 fight. You're leaning towards Spence now, Matt? Is that fight what happened next?
If let's say they make that fight, they say fuck the Pacquiao fight, they make that pay-per-view in the summertime, Spence is the worst matchup for Crawford, man. Like it is such a bad, and it's honestly, you can make the same argument for Crawford versus Spence. Like, these two guys are the perfect foils to each other. It is such a hard fight for me to pick. So I'm probably leaning Spence just due to the size, the power. I really don't think the skill disparity between them is that much.
No, that especially what we saw yesterday. I just wish it was against somebody his own size. Spence didn't win that fight early. He didn't. He won the first 4 rounds on his jab and movement, not on size and strength. Which, if you would have told me that was going to be a pure jab and move boxing chess match for the first 4 rounds, I would say Garcia got a shot. And he was outboxed badly. Maybe Garcia won 1 round. I think it's grateful, but you could give him maybe 1 round. I mean, Spence was the better, more skilled fighter in there, which I don't think anyone expected. So that was highly, highly, highly impressive. It really makes you remember how good Kell Brook was, because Kell Brook was outboxing Spence until Spence broke him down. So when I say I think Kell Brook can come back and win a belt, a world title at 147. Kell Brook's a master boxer, and remember he was outboxed. He was outboxing Spence round after round for the first 5 or 6 rounds of that fight.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is, right, and the detractors and the haters are going to say, well, Errol Spence didn't knock out a lightweight. Like, that's coming already. Like, he couldn't knock out all the other guys, Loma, Canelo, Triple G. When they fought a much smaller man, they knocked him out. Spence couldn't do that. So how is he the boogeyman? He can't even knock out a lightweight. I mean, do you see that coming? And then it
already is here. That I guarantee you, Gary. Yeah. I have seen that numerous times already on Twitter. I just don't pay that any mind. I mean, if people want to take away any nuance from a discussion when comparing Spence, Mike Garcia to Canelo Khan, and don't understand why one fight got a finish and why one fight didn't, then there's no point in having that discussion with those people. That's sort of where I come down to it.
Because Canelo is pound for pound.
I fucking hate you, Rob, so much. God damn it, Gary. Gary, I want to ask you a quick question. Did you buy this pay-per-view? I'm assuming.
I went to the fight.
Oh, you went to the fight.
Yeah.
How was it?
How much was your ticket?
Yeah, good questions.
Tickets started at $50. I got pretty good seats for it. I spent a little more than that.
And how was it? Good time?
Don't be so coy around the number. Was it less than the pay-per-view?
Was it?
It was 150, I think, 170, 150, 175.
Good price for a ticket.
Might have been somewhere in between. Yeah. But you $50 got you in, so it wasn't that bad, which is why they sold 47,000 tickets. I mean, it was good. It was a great event. Like Jerry Jones, spares no cost to put on a great event. So it was a great live event. But the fights themselves weren't great, right? Like not one of those fights were competitive. I like the Lewis Neary fight. I thought Neary looked great, and that was McTill Arroyo is an opponent. It's someone that should make you work, and he really did. So I was impressed with Neary. And then the Garcia, the Spence Garcia, I was surprised because that crowd was really 50-50. I thought it would be a major Spence crowd. But it wasn't. It was 50-50. There was a ton of Garcia fans there.
That's not surprising.
Which helped with the ticket sales, I'd imagine. Yeah. I didn't know Mikey Garcia had a fan base.
He's fought in Texas numerous times. Obviously, the Hispanic market's big there.
Yeah,
certainly is
Garcia. I just never hear people talking up Mikey Garcia. You know what I'm saying? Like Canelo or Marquez or someone like that. I never hear, people in the Mexican community saying, I love Mikey Garcia, but apparently he's got enough fans. And then the Manny Pacquiao fight. Does that seem like that's going to happen next?
Yep.
So where does that leave the other guys? Are Spence and Thurman going to fight each other?
Spence and Thurman.
Because Thurman wanted that Pacquiao.
You mean Thurman and Porter?
Thurman and Porter. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we get a Thurman Porter rematch, and depending what the buy rate of this card is, that fight might be pay-per-view.
You're thinking it's going to be higher than we originally anticipated?
I think so. I think it's going to hit. I think it's going to hit 250. I think it will.
Okay, I don't. Because if you just talk to your friends outside of the boxing bubble, just like your sports fans who might watch a few fights a year, How many of them knew this fight was going on?
Some of them did. Like I did that test. I did the text your casual friends like, hey, did you watch the fight this weekend, and see how many say what fight. Obviously you do get that. I definitely had friends that maybe watched like the Mayweather Pacquiao fight and Mayweather McGregor, right? Like those super casuals. They vaguely knew there was a fight coming up. Like they vaguely knew there was something at AT&T, that something with the Dallas Cowboys. Like there was always in reference to the fight at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, right? Like that's something. Like they didn't know names, they didn't know Mikey, they didn't know Earl, but people did know there was a fight. Like it did hit the bubble or pass the bubble enough to where people were aware there was a fight going on. Whether they knew who was fighting is a completely different subject. But people knew there was a fight going on. I will argue that.
Because when the Wilder Fury fight was going on, everyone knew. Every one of my friends who watches boxing, a few times a year, knew that fight was going on and had interest in that fight. And that only did, 3.25?
Yep.
So for this to get close to that, I didn't see that kind of interest from the non-regular boxing watcher, right? But we'll see. I think it's going to come in right at what Warden Kovalev did, 160, 170. I don't think it's going to come in much higher than that.
That's probably realistic. That's probably the most realistic pick to have, is around that number.
But and good old Richard said it was trending at 1 million, right? That's what he said.
That's stupid. Use your common sense.
If that thing hits 250,000, throw yourself a celebration. You know what I'm saying? That hits 250,000. That is a major, major, major win. I can't see it coming in at 250,000, but we'll see.
According to Mixed Combat Radio numbers, it won't. It's just going to fall short of 230.
Anyways, Gary, any last points? Any last things you want to bring up?
No, I think that's it. That's all I got.
Thank you for the call, Gary. As always, hope you guys enjoyed the fight over there in Dallas. Let's go out to Santiago in LA. Santiago.
Hey guys, what's up?
What up?
Just here with Ivan, watching him play Fortnite, telling him to add you on so you guys can play, but he don't want that smoke, so I'll just slide you his gamer tag sometime later. Anyways, yeah, it's actually funny for me to hear Gary say that the crowd was pretty split down the middle, because it definitely wasn't that feeling in the theater, because that theater was pro Spence. Like, every single time that Spence landed anything, that crowd reacted. Mikey threw anything, it didn't even register. So it's interesting to see how the fan base has played out in different parts of the U.S. here.
That's kind of shocking too, because Mikey being a guy that's from the Southern California area, you being in an L.A. movie theater, you would think that you would get a good percentage of an Hispanic audience out there to support Mikey. That did not come to fruition. That's kind of shocking.
Yeah, definitely, man. But yeah, all in all, it was still fun. Having these conversations with different people that were there for the first time. And enjoying the experience of watching a fight in the movie theater. Watching maybe what is their first fight. Some of them were invited by their friends, because again, tickets were only $20, for the theater. So, yeah, it was something. I pretty much said everything I had to say regarding all the fights last night during the immediate reaction show. But, it is interesting. It will be interesting to see what the buy rate is going to be once it's all said and done, because definitely, depending on that, the next fight is probably either free or pay-per-view for sure. It's I don't know, it's just interesting to see how everything played out, especially because most of us had a general narrative about how a lot of the ways this fight could have played out, and definitely for me at least, Spence being the better boxer was the biggest shocker for me. I always felt that if he was going to have his way with Mikey, it was going to be due to his physicality, due to the fact that he is the naturally bigger man. But he showed that he was able to have the skill set, and for me, have the skill set that'll give a guy like Porter and Thurman trouble. Definitely between him and Crawford. I think that's the fight for me, at least right now, that's 50-50 because both men have a mean streak. Both men are very skilled fighters. The only difference being that, again, Spence is the one that's the naturally bigger man. Crawford coming up from 135 and now from 140. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. It really will be. Don't really have much else to say. I'm going to be doing DoorDash later today. My days have been freeing up more and more, so maybe sometime later this week I can join you for some other shows.
Of course.
If you have any questions that you guys haven't brought up that you want to ask me, feel free to shoot. Otherwise, that's my call. Keep up the good work. Everybody that's listening into the show, share, subscribe, hit that like button. Show these men why all their contribution matters and how much we love them. Because if it isn't for them, it would just be another boring Sunday.
Thank you, Santiago, for the call and the kind words. As always, we're going to wrap up. So I know Foo's hungry. I'm hungry. I got some corned beef and hash waiting for me since it's St. Patty's Day. Oh, God.
Nice.
Rob, you gave me that look like, I don't know what that look was. What was that look that you just gave me?
Corned beef and hash. Do you mean corned beef hash?
Sure.
Yeah, I was like, sure. And hash. Yeah, well, yes, just regular anyway. But
anyways, last topic, Foo. It's only one sentence I want from you guys. What is your final prediction for this Tuesday press conference for Deontay Wilder? Obviously, Wilder got up in the middle of the telecast on Saturday and said they have a big something in the work, big deal. They were sort of alluding to something. You guys, since we're probably not going to be on tomorrow for a show, what is your last minute thoughts
90 seconds.
Oh, shit. Calm down there, Siri. What is your last thoughts about this Tuesday press conference for Wilder? What will be announced? Rob, you first.
Well, Wilder said all roads lead to Deontay Wilder, but I think only Adam Karnacki, Brazil have been given the map to follow the road. I think he's staying with PBC, whether it's a Showtime deal or he was at the Fox event last night, whether that means anything, whether it's a Fox deal of some sort.
60 seconds.
But he kind of suggested he's still a free agent and it's almost as if it's fight by fight, but it sounded like he was signing a multi-fight deal. So we'll wait and see, but I'm not holding any hopes that it's DAZN and the Joshua fights anytime soon.
Phil?
Oh, man. I want to be the optimist here and say he takes this DAZN deal.
Someone be optimistic, please.
It's just not going to happen, bro. Like, there's another report that said he loves being a free agent. He likes choosing his own destiny, so I think he's going to turn it down. I just don't know why. It's frustrating.
We can't have nice things, guys. We can't have nice things. I agree. We're not getting a DAZN deal or an AJ fight next. It's not happening. But anyways,
10 seconds.
As our blog talk machine is telling us and ladies to leave, we're leaving. Enjoy your St. Patty's Day, everyone. Stay safe out there. No drinking and driving on this day. I know that is a very common thing that happens, so do not do that. Be smart. Get a taxi, get an Uber, get a Lyft, whatever you need. Don't drink and drive. Enjoy the fights tonight as well on ESPN Plus and BT Sports, I believe, in the UK. Otherwise, hit the like button, share the show on your way out. Follow me, Matt Hunter, MCR, all platforms. Have a great day. Foo, your final thoughts. Where can the people find you?
Fugatti_MCR, guys, on all platforms. Final thoughts. Thanks for being here. Probably won't see you guys till maybe Tuesday. I am off Tuesday for the press conference. Cannot wait to see what happens.
I can't believe we took the whole day off just to be like really mad at the world,
Just to do a show with you guys, really. Not for the press conference itself. Just to do a show with you guys. And to fucking be mad about this decision that's made, I'm sure.
Rob?
Yeah, UK Rob, MCR, Instagram and Twitter. I think we should do a live press conference chat. But obviously that's kind of difficult because we wouldn't have volume maybe. But Irish, like you say, St. Patrick's Day. Paddy Barnes has just lost on the sort of shock comeback loss after losing to Christopher Rosales, who went on to lose to Edwards. Yeah, so not a good St. Patrick's Day for Paddy Barnes, but the rest of you enjoy it. Mick Conlon, obviously, Michael Conlon. Hopefully he's impressive. Lately he's not looked, amazing, like the touted prospect or whatever that he's been. But hopefully we see a good performance. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Share the show, thumbs up, 5-star review, all the good stuff. Catch you on the next one.
By the way, Rob's outro was saying, "Happy St. Paddy's Day." By the way, a guy named Paddy's getting his ass kicked. God, that UK-Ireland rivalry is still so alive, isn't it?
Caught in the news.
Anyways, peace. Have a great day. Bye.